Mabuhay everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Filipino Time is What Makes Them Tick. I'm your host Francis, and I am really excited to be here with our guest Nico Moreno, who is, aside from being a very interesting history buff, the founder and CEO of Ibarra Watches. So Nico, thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. I mean, I've been following your channel and it's very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, you know, we're here to have a lot of fun, and it looks like you're having a lot of fun with what you're doing.
Definitely.
I want to start with this particular watch, and I'm not ashamed to say that prior to this I didn't know a lot about your company, but when I saw this on the news, that really put you on the map.
That's true.
Tell me a bit about this particular model.
Okay, so this particular piece is called the Playa Del Automatic, no? It was actually endorsed by the Philippine President back in May 22, 2017, and that pretty much jump-started or placed our business on steroids. You know, our sales really grew, and we had supply problems that we couldn't really supply. So this particular watch is actually a follow-through of that endorsement. The Office of the President actually asked us if we could actually make a watch for the ASEAN 50. So this particular watch was the one we made for them. And as you see at the back, we had that ASEAN 50 logo etched, and you know the date when it was given to the heads of state engraved in the logo of the ASEAN here in front. No? So they gave this to the heads of state, Justin Trudeau of Canada, Donald Trump of the United States, and I guess this is a milestone for us. And it's not just about being, you know, a Filipino watch brand being supported by the government, but it's more of representing the country. You know, that your piece is actually being in the hands of heads of state or leaders who actually move the entire world.
Yes. And I would imagine that this particular variant, I don't think you can really get one of these just like that.
No.
And it's only for ASEAN 50 and only for heads of state, except for your own personal one.
Yes, that's the reason why we have it here. It's my personal watch.
Is this number 001?
We don't actually have numbers for it. Okay. Yeah, but it only came out in 100 pieces.
Wow.
They asked to have 70 made.
Yes.
And you know, I had 30 extra, which they eventually got.
Yes.
But I had several, you know, extra ones, prototypes.
Of course.
When we started, you know, lying around. So I had 2 extra. This is one of the 2 extra. The other one is just kept like in my drawer, in my closet.
I see. Well, that one I'm sure is going to be something to look at 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, from the watch that I would say put you on the map, I guess, to maybe a watch that represents a bit more of your more interesting beginnings. So take me through this particular Bulova. You were telling me you have a story about your dad in Bulova.
Yes, well, when I was starting watch collecting before, I was in corporate. They were teaching us like, you know, how to dress properly, things like that. I was a scientist, I'm a physicist.
Yes.
But once I entered corporate, they taught us you need to always look good because you're going to be seen as executives of the company. So
and like today, I really underdressed. But that's not your fault. That's my fault.
Yeah. So I got this Bulova because I wanted to have a vintage Bulova piece because when I was talking to my dad, I was asking him what watch could I possibly buy with my very limited budget as a start, and he kept on telling me Bulova is a good brand. So I started with the Bulova, a more contemporary one. But this one I eventually acquired while I was starting, you know, Ibarra.
Yes.
For the reason being that I want to have some ideas or inspirations as I craft new models, but at the same time, you know, I really love, you know, the Cartier tank, but I couldn't really afford it back then, no?
Sure.
So I got this instead, but you know, it's still a Bulova. You know, it's a good vintage timepiece. You know, it's dated 1960, and it still works. You know, and you know, when you wind it manually, it's just music to the ears.
And I remember you were telling me you have a particular affinity to manual wind movements.
Yeah. Because usually, of course, when you wind the watch, it makes you feel closer to the watch. You have that personal relationship. It's like you're putting life into the watch.
Yeah, you said that was a really nice a while ago. You said that it was like you're giving it life every day.
Yes, that's true.
So I'm gonna skip this just for a minute because I want to stick to your love for vintage looks and vintage aesthetics with this Invicta, because you know a lot of the viewers now and the modern Invictas, they're very different from their roots, and this particular one. And you also have a very interesting story with this one as it relates to your company.
Yeah, of course, when I was starting the company, I couldn't really hire full-time technicians. They were very talented. I mean, they were earning good money just by restoring or repairing, servicing watches of other watch collectors. No? But when I got this watch, I got this from one of my technicians who I guess needed the money, and it was hard for him to part with it. But so I just said, even though I didn't have much back then, if it's something to help you out, I know that you need it for you to really part with this. It would be great if I would just hold on to it. At least it's with me. So it's an Invicta triple date. It has an ETA 1164 movement. So it's a very nice movement, and it still works up to today. So it's dated from the 50s.
Wow.
So it's quite a very interesting piece.
It actually really is. And before we move forward, so we've talked a little bit about how you started, and these are a couple of watches that sort of relate to how you started. I want to know a little bit more about the history of Ibarra. You had a very interesting story about the name.
The name Ibarra, of course, when you're creating a Filipino brand, you wanted to have that affinity to the market that you want to cater to. Because for me, I wanted to create a Filipino brand that would really, instantly have that retention. That's Filipino.
That's right. I wasn't born here. I didn't study here for very long, but even I know Crisostomo Ibarra. Even I know the stories of Jose Rizal. So you're right. It does have that recall.
Yeah, I mean, well, some people would say we're just banking on like the Filipino, brand vibe or the fad here, but actually no. The reason why I actually created the brand Ibarra and called it Ibarra was because we have them assembled here. The parts are made overseas, but the fact that you're calling it Ibarra, it's about sharing a little bit of history of ourselves, our country to other people. Like you're working in a multinational company, you're talking to your boss, oh, that's a nice watch. What's that called? It's the first time I've seen it. Oh, it's called Ibarra. No, you have a story to tell.
Yes. So you really, literally, you are wearing your Filipino heritage on you, literally.
Yeah, literally. Actually, we had feedback from customers overseas that they tell us that when they wear the watch, it kind of feels like, looking back at home. Because when you're overseas, you don't really wear a Polo Barong or say a Barong Tagalog or Barong Saya. But you have to wear something that is universally appealing and that is timeless, that can also grab the attention of people. So that's why when we decided to craft our watches, we wanted to have that feel that would be universally appealing, same time capture the attention of people.
It's a really good thing that you mentioned people abroad, because the next one we're going to talk about is this particular model, and this one caught my eye because you'll see in the close-ups, you guys will see in the close-ups here that if you look at the bezel, you'll see different time zones just as you would in a lot of travel watches. But what's very interesting about this one is that in the +8 GMT, it says Manila, where you would normally see Hong Kong or Beijing or something like that. And so obviously that, I would imagine this particular watch when worn abroad.
Yes, actually, we've had a lot of people who bought that watch who are actually based abroad. They're OFWs.
Yes.
And some people are, we've had customers who are from the DFA. They said they wanted to buy that watch before they go on their assignments overseas. And for us, it's one of the things that makes us really proud and makes us really happy. That even though that we're encountering very hard times in the business, it motivates us to do more or to stretch ourselves further.
Yes. When you actually had this watch designed, what was the inspiration for you to say, you know what, we have to put Manila on? I mean, obviously, aside from we're Filipino, it has to be Manila. But what led to that decision to say we have to have something that says Manila on it?
Well, actually, you already said it's just actually pride. For me, you want to create something that of course, the brand is Filipino. You want to create something that connects to people as well. People would say that the movement that we use is just a basic Miyota 8215, but how can you make that experience a little bit more special to people? And I think when you have a watch, there's the story, there's the experience, and that's something that can make you really feel better, and that, especially of course that is quality, makes you feel very happy about the timepiece that you have.
So right now, how many models do you have in the lineup?
Actually, we have three particular models in the lineup. One is called the Rizal, that's what we started with. The next one is called the Playa Del. This is the first automatic watch that we actually came out with, which was endorsed by the president as well. It's now available in 4 different variants, no? There's also a rose gold variant and with a blue dial. And then the Salvador. The Salvador is the world timer. The reason why we called it the Salvador is because we coined it after the steam vessel El Salvadora, which our national hero Jose Rizal boarded in May 3, 1882 when he first left the country for Spain.
Wow.
So that's the reason why we called it Salvador. It's called because, you know, you can wear it when you travel and it makes you remember, you know, maybe if you can recall the life of Rizal, that was the story of the name.
That's really interesting. And what are the production numbers like on these? I would imagine they're fairly limited.
Actually, they're very limited. Like for the Playa Del, we had our first run, they were only at 150 pieces each. They were numbered. The first run was 150 pieces each, and then the next run was at around 600 pieces, divided into like 4 different variants, so maybe that's 150 each as well, no? So, but the reproductions didn't have numbering anymore, so that the first people who bought the watch
who
trusted our brand would really feel special. Because even up to today, even though we have the capacity with our current number of technicians working on the watches, we can assemble about 300 a month. You know, we haven't really got that demand utilized yet, you know, that capacity utilized yet, no? So we're only very limited. So if you have an Ibarra watch, you can actually say that you only have one of the very few watches that we actually made. Especially the Salvador, we only released 200 of each.
I see. I'm sure you're sold out by now.
Not yet. Actually, we still have some models left.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're not being too aggressive because we want to plan things properly, planning for expansion. But you know, it takes around 5 to 7 months cycle time, you know, from ideation to market. So it takes a long while. So when we over market the watches, you know, it will, you know, the number will, you know, we might sell everything else and we'll have nothing left to sell in the market by the next releases.
I understand. And well, speaking of, this is really great transitioning, huh? Speaking of next releases, you know, I am very, very proud to announce that Nico here has graciously allowed us to present this particular watch for the first time. We actually have an exclusive with the latest model, which is...
Well, it's actually also called the Playa Del.
Yes.
But we created a very special dial for it. It has, you know, Roman numerals there. And then we had a guilloche pattern in the middle that makes it, you know, give it a bit more classier feel to it. A bit more modern as well. And, you know, this one is actually a prototype, which is actually good to go. We're actually having the parts produced, and we're actually ready to assemble in a month's time.
I see.
Yeah, so we're preparing for the large volume of parts coming in so we can actually start assembling.
So for this particular one, how big is the production run?
The production run of this, actually we produced, this particular model will be coming out in 4 different variants of 200 pieces each.
Wow, still very, very limited.
Still very limited, but yeah, I mean, we're a growing brand, we're a growing company, and you know, we have to optimize our, you know, our operations and to make sure that we have a variety that we can offer to the market.
Yes. What I love actually about it is that you actually pointed out the multiple textures in the dial really make it pop, and then it's just the first time you've used Roman numerals in your
that's
dials.
the first time.
It's the first. So I mean, I think that the details on this one really stand out even in comparison to the previous Playa Dels, the previous models you guys have been producing. Is there a way you can pre-order these, or?
Well, as of now, not yet. It's just, you know, I just decided to, you know, why not show it here?
Thank you.
Yeah, on Filipino Time. You know, I love your channel a lot.
Thank you very much.
So,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't expect it either. So actually, I'm not gonna give this back. He doesn't know that. I'm actually not giving this back. But you know, all kidding aside, you know, we're very excited for, you know, the new releases.
Yeah.
I know you have more tricks up your sleeve. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, we have several other models coming up soon. June, December. You know, December is gonna be a big month, but June as well.
You know, there's it's for Christmas, right? So I know exactly what to ask for from Santa Claus this Christmas. There's a couple of models in there that you should really see. I'm really looking forward to it. Nico, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you also for having me.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, that's it for this week. And you know what? I'm actually speechless this time. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And as always, please take care. Mabuhay! Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, because I really had a lot of fun in this one. Please, like and subscribe. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests that you guys might have, put them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Mabuhay!